Hey, bud, what'd you think, man? Let me know some things about what can we expect from you?
Fireworks.
Fireworks. You ready, bud?
Oh, that's the fight that everybody want to see.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
Do you respect him as like when he's like, I got a couple fights left, I'm at the end, I'm only trying to get mega fights, so...
Terence Crawford accepted Jaron Ennis's challenge for a super middleweight fight with all his titles on the line, surprising many fans. This response was unexpected because Crawford had never previously shown interest in facing Jaron Ennis or discussed the possibility of such a matchup.
And like I said before, you know, that's my obligation in the contract, and I gotta honor that if, you know, that's the next move for me in my career.
However, during an interview while preparing for his next fight, he said he was ready to move up to the super middleweight division if it meant getting a title shot from Crawford, and confirmed he was aiming for a 2026 matchup. This would mirror Terence Crawford's path, who moved up from welterweight, had one fight at 154 pounds, and then quickly stepped into the super middleweight division.
Terence Crawford against Jaron Ennis, for me, is the best fight in American boxing. But it needs to be a payday for Crawford that would get him interested, because Crawford knows how good Boots is. And I'm not saying that Crawford thinks he's going to lose to Boots, but he knows that is a real fight. But for me, Boots is the new Crawford.
Interestingly, Terence Crawford held a victory parade in his hometown of Omaha just hours later. In a later interview about Jaron Ennis's challenge, he confirmed he was open to the fight. He also sent a direct message to Ennis, saying if he really wants the bout at 168 pounds, he should send the contract because Crawford is ready to compete at that weight. Jaron Ennis's promoter, Eddie Hearn, backed this up, calling it the biggest fight in boxing.
Because, you know, without him, you know, really wanting to fight and putting forth the effort into doing what he can do along with me to get this fight done, we wouldn't be fighting. So it's only right that I give him that same, you know,
I want and I need. So after I do my thing, you know, Saturday night and be victorious, you know, I feel like it's only big name fights from here on out. You know, only main event headlines and pay-per-view headlines, pay-per-view fighting. So that's my goal.
Your skills. Matchroom boxing boss Eddie Hearn said discussions are underway for Terence Crawford to face former unified welterweight champion Jaron Ennis, who is set to make his 154 lb debut on October 11th against Wismal Lima. Hearn told reporters on Wednesday, Terence Crawford versus Jaron Ennis is the best fight in American boxing. But it has to be a big payday to get Crawford interested because he knows how talented Boots is. I'm not saying Crawford thinks he'll lose, but he knows it's a serious fight. For me, Boots is the new Crawford, and now we just need to make the fights to prove how great he really is.
A fight that makes a whole lot of sense, and the fight that stylistically will be, oh my goodness, is a fight between Terence Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis.
I think that's going backwards for Terence.
To that point, Jaron doesn't have the kind of accolades. He doesn't sell to the mass and all these. So this fight was perfect timing for both these guys.
During Crawford's post-fight press conference, the idea of a future fight with Jaron Ennis was raised. The 5-division champion initially said he wouldn't return to the junior middleweight division for the matchup. For the fight to happen, Ennis would need to agree to a different weight class with Crawford. Eddie Hearn explained, the problem is that Crawford will only fight for big money, and only certain fights can generate that. You're dealing with a different animal in Terence Crawford, a guy whose fight IQ is off the charts. You need experience and proper schooling to compete with him, and that's why I like the Boots fight.
It's been a roller coaster, but, you know, we made it to the top. No matter how we made it, you know, and, you know, it's definitely a test to say that anything is possible if you know, work hard at it and you believe in yourself and you have the faith.
Ennis was previously a 147 lb IBF mandatory challenger for Crawford before Crawford moved up to 154 pounds last year to defeat Israel Madrimov for the WBA title. After that win, Ennis was promoted from interim to full champion by the sanctioning body and later became both the ring and WBA champion by stopping IA Steniones in April. While preparing for his fight against Lima, Ennis also acted as an experienced sparring partner for Alvarez as he got ready to face Crawford.
Yeah. But don't lie or cap to the net and make it seem like I had the opportunity to fight you and I didn't. I never did. You know what I'm saying? And then that one time that I did, we said they called and we said we never heard nothing else back about it. So I mean, I respect it though. I mean, get your money. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing, but don't be capping on the net.
But even the intense training couldn't help Alvarez fully rise to the challenge, as the Mexican star admitted after the loss that his body let him down. Terence Crawford delivered an incredible performance. Eddie Hearn said, "I feel for Canelo, but I'm actually happy that Crawford is finally getting the chance to show just how great he is. His record doesn't fully reflect his talent. Don't get me wrong, he's had big wins, but he could have beaten so many more elite fighters from his era. To do that at 38 is truly impressive."
Crawford-Canelo fight. Were you surprised by the outcome?
It's boxing, they happen.
No doubt. My other question for you is, with this win, everybody said Crawford elevated his status. He's the GOAT. Do you think this win puts him on Mount Rushmore or makes him a GOAT in boxing?
Everybody got their own opinion. So.
We often rush to declare fighters retired, but Hearn believes Crawford still has more to achieve. He said Crawford could even move up to 160 pounds and win another world title, making him a 6th-division champion. Canelo Alvarez wanted the victory badly, but Terence Crawford didn't make it easy. Over 70,000 fans attended Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, and more than 41 million watched on Netflix as Crawford secured a clear, though competitive, win over Alvarez.
Park, South Philly.
Yeah.
All right, so they'll kill me if I don't ask you, right?
What?
Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford wins unanimous decision victory.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on the fight?
I was trying to stay up. It was getting too late, y'all. It was like, I think by the time they came on, it was probably like 1 o'clock or something like that.
It was like 1 o'clock.
I trained.
Among the millions watching was Jaron Ennis. The 28-year-old from Philadelphia has repeatedly called out Crawford and is often compared to the future Hall of Famer. A few weeks before Alvarez finished his training camp, Ennis, who can switch hit, was brought in to spar. Because of this, Jaron faced criticism for choosing to spar with Canelo instead of preparing for Crawford. Despite opinions from many boxing experts, he shared his own response.
We got a couple more days and y'all gonna see Canelo fighting Crawford, so I ain't got no comment on who gonna win the fight today. If Crawford do what he's supposed to do, he got an option. If he don't beat Canelo. Simple as that.
When asked about his experience during the training camp with Canelo, which was only his second time training outside Philadelphia, Jaron Ennis said he just enjoyed being in the ring with a fighter who has 67 professional fights. He said it was amazing to share the ring with Canelo, to spar, fish, and spend time with his team, calling it a fun and different experience as he moves up in weight. On whether he enjoyed the camp, he added, "Why not? Getting to share the ring with Canelo, a Hall of Famer, a legend, and one of boxing's biggest faces, was great. The sparring was excellent, and I had an amazing time being in there with him."
A guy of that caliber?
Yeah, why not? Why not you be able to share the ring with, with Canelo and, like I said, being there with a Hall of Famer, legend, and face of, kind of like the face of boxing, why not?
Speaking about how his sparring sessions with Canelo went viral and how fans reacted, Jaron Ennis said, "I already knew it was going to blow up. Once we posted the picture, I was like, this is going everywhere. You could say it makes the fight more interesting and might get more people to tune in. I really don't care about the backlash. Honestly, I went out there for myself, especially for my first 2 weeks in camp at Elevation. This was for me, not for anyone else." He added,
"I think Crawford's going to get the job done. I am officially picking Crawford to win this fight. It is still 50-50, but obviously..."
He says that till he goes to Canelo.
I'm obviously going to say that this is a 60-40 fight. And I have Crawford winning this fight. Crawford's going to win this fight doing something that nobody's done to Canelo.
Okay. And it's going to help Canelo. He's sparring against a great fighter, world champion in Ennis. And like I said before, iron sharpens iron. And maybe it will. But on the other side, it was interesting to hear your side of how, whether it's the overtraining or I think more the mental side. What if Boots is getting the best of him? How does that affect Canelo going into this fight? Why would you want to even put that doubt in your fighter's head going into such a big...
Legendary boxing analyst Teddy Atlas, however, warned that bringing in Jaron "Boots" Ennis could backfire for Canelo Alvarez. Atlas felt that facing a fighter like Ennis in sparring might tire Alvarez out before his big fight on September 13th.
He's not me.
Yeah.
As much as a lot of people, say we have similarities and, we we switch a lot and we fight a lot. He's not me, you know, and I'm not him. So.
Tim had said comparison that like he's like a Chrysler.
Preparations were in full swing on both sides, but Alvarez's camp has drawn extra attention because he's been sparring with Jaron "Boots" Ennis. Canelo chose this approach to train with a top-level fighter and be fully prepared for Crawford. However, not everyone agrees with the decision.
And now, I think Boots brought the best out of Canelo. I don't know how many rounds they may have sparred, if it's true, but if it is true, I'm assuming that Boots may have brought the best out of Canelo Alvarez in that sparring. Showed him different looks, the switch hitting. I'm pretty sure they probably wanted Boots to, you know, emulate Crawford or just to be who he is.
What's yours?
My opinion is I like who I like. You know, I like Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, Bernard Whitaker. I'm liking Sugar Ray Leonard. I've been watching a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard. James Tony. So they my top like guys that I've been watching.
I don't want him to take it all out in the gym, Atlas said. I don't want him going to war in there. I wouldn't risk my fighter against someone who's had 65 fights. I'd pick certain moments for Canelo to push himself, maybe 1 or 2 days, and only with someone that sharp. Atlas expressed concern about Alvarez's age and accumulated wear. While Crawford is older, Canelo has more miles on his body, and sparring with Ennis is adding extra rounds to his workload. It will be interesting to see if Alvarez shows any signs of fatigue on fight night.
I don't think that I would want too many highly, put it this way, I'll get right to the point. I wouldn't want wars with my guy who's been in 65 fights or 60 whatever, and is at that, 34 years old.
Never. Always. This is crazy, Chester.
I just didn't want to see
Chester.
I didn't want to see
Chester. You got a Team Crawford shirt on, hoodie on, but you going against me? You going against me? What he say, Red?
I said, don't get scared.
No. What he say?
He said you just want to see him lose.
Thank you.
Even with the extra preparation, Alvarez had little to no answers as Crawford controlled all 12 rounds fighting from a southpaw stance. While facing Crawford remains his ultimate goal, Ennis had to give credit for the performance. He told YSM Sports Media, it was a good win. He accomplished a historic goal. Good win for him. Although he enjoyed watching as a fan for a moment, Ennis is now focused on his own career. The former unified welterweight champion recently gave up his ring WBA and WBC titles and is committed to reclaiming his championship at 154 pounds.
I trained twice that day. I was like, I'm gonna just try to stay up. And the fight before that was...
And Billy Martinez.
I was watching like 1 or 2 rounds of that. They was going at it. Though I wanted to falling asleep. I'm like, yo, I can't stay up no longer. I just wanted to fall asleep. But that was a great one for Crawford. Go.
His first fight in the new weight class will be against Wissam Lima at Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia on October 11th. With an opportunity to make a statement and capture a secondary belt, he's eager for fight night to arrive. I'm feeling great, he said. It's almost time. I'm ready to put on a show. Expect a dominant performance and a beautiful knockout.
On Thursday and Friday, when I saw Canelo in the vest, I was like, nah. I was like, no, he's gonna pull it off here. And it was an amazing performance by Terence Crawford. Yeah, I'm gutted for Canelo, but I'm actually pleased that Crawford is getting the opportunity to show how great he is, because his resume hasn't really allowed that. Don't get me wrong, he's got some...
On the eve of his 38th birthday, Terence "Bud" Crawford wasn't just celebrated, he was honored. A hometown parade drew around 20,000 fans, turning the streets into a sea of blue and gold with Crawford at the center of a spectacle few fighters ever experience. Riding atop a throne on a semi, he raised his hand to the cheering crowd. Amid the flashes and excitement, he later shared a short but powerful 6-word tweet that captured the moment, showing that his roots, his city, and his achievements are bigger than any single fight. Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez in Las Vegas made headlines, but his homecoming took the celebration to a whole new level. Nebraskans lined the streets, families turned out by the thousands, and the celebrations had the feel of a hero's homecoming. After all, very few boxers in history become undisputed champions in multiple divisions. Crawford stood proud amid the cheers, but there was a sense of finality in the air. At 38, many wonder if the fight with Canelo was his last big showdown. In interviews, he has emphasized that the matchup was never just about money, but about leaving a legacy. Reflecting on times when critics questioned his career, Crawford said, "It's crazy because when I was with Top Rank, people were saying, he's broke, he's this, he's that. I was getting paid well, but I was like, I don't have to box. You box because you want to. I box because I love it."
Time moment following a once-in-a-lifetime fight.
42-0, waving to the crowd, pumping his fists like he does so well.
And a kid on his lap. I love it. Guys, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but it's hard to hear anything because it is loud. The city of Omaha is out. Bud Crawford making his way to the heartland of America Park. Phil, what's yours?
My opinion is I like who I like. You know, I like Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, Bernard Whitaker. I'm liking Sugar Ray Leonard. I've been watching a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard. And James Tony. They my top like guys that I've been watching.
Fair enough. Last question on the topic. Is that a fight? Because, you know, people want to know, is that a fight that you still are interested in? Or you moved on? You moved on from wanting to fight Crawford. Is it still a fight that you have interest in?
My main focus right now is October 11th. That's all I'm worried about. October 11th. I ain't worried about no outsiders. You know, I like that. That's how.
100 years from now, people will remember that kid from Omaha, Nebraska, Bud Crawford. He moved up 2, actually 3 divisions, and beat Canelo Alvarez. With conviction, my name will be spoken and remembered long after I'm gone. That's what legacy is all about. Crawford's words carry deep personal meaning, and only time will show if he fulfills that promise. Omaha, however, already seemed convinced. This was far more than a typical victory parade. It was a celebration of identity, memory, and expectation. His hometown became his stage, his city a co-author of his story. Meanwhile, it's no secret that Jaron Ennis struggles to make the 147 lb limit, which led to his move up to junior middleweight. I think the big question is whether Boots stays at 147, if I'm honest, Hearn told Boxing Scene.
I figured it being so close to the fight too as well. You know, you're kind of like tunnel vision when it comes to your opponent. And the only reason why I ask is because, you know, Turkey had mentioned that if Teo gets past Barboza, we could see a fight with you and Teofimo. I know Top Rank tried to make that fight as well. So I was just curious now, like, what do you think of Teofimo as a fighter?
Yeah, good fighter. You know, good fighter. That's about it.
The Stand 1 performance was great, though the medical numbers weren't as strong, Hearn said. It's tricky because Boots feels he'll perform much better at 154. He originally wanted to stay at 147 to unify, and now he's done that. It's a tough call. We like the Teofimo Lopez fight, but if he stays at 147, that's who he'll face. If not, he'll move up to 154. With Brian Norman fighting in July here in Japan and Barrios facing Pacquiao, the unifications aren't really there. Boots is a bit of a one-off. He's not just motivated by money, of course he is, but he's all about legacy. He's willing to push his body to make 147 for unification. The Teofimo fight is different, but it's a big one. We'll have to decide soon.
That's about it?
Yeah, he's a good fighter. That's about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were going to add or anything like that.
No. I say he's a good fighter. That's about it.
Okay. You know, Brian Norman Jr. got a knockout win. I know you guys tried to make a fight previously. He had mentioned in a group huddle with us that he just didn't like being cornered in his opinion, when it came to that fight. Just, you know.
Ennis hired a nutritionist to help him make weight more efficiently for his fight with Stanonis. On fight night, he looked huge, much bigger than Stanonis, and dominated the bout. Still, Hearn revealed that making weight remained a challenge. It probably wasn't as bad as the Karen Chukagian fight, but a lot of people noticed during the week how tight he looked at the weight, he said. He wasn't dead on the scales for Stanonis, not at all. But repeatedly cutting down to 147 is a massive ask.
That fight, Jaron, just give us your perspective on that and him saying those comments.
I ain't gonna lie, I don't even know what you're talking about. I've been so locked in and zoned in what I got going on, I ain't been worrying about nobody else doing nothing. Like, I just been going to the gym, training, locking in books and things like that, even coloring a little bit. I'm just so focused on what I got going on. I really ain't been on social media. I post whatever
And it's not just about making the weight, it's about making it and performing at your best. Even in the Stanionis fight, he didn't feel like he showed his most powerful version of himself, which is surprising because I thought it was incredible. At 154 and above, you're going to see even more power from him, though he's already strong at 147. That's all for now. For the latest updates on news, highlights, events, and action in the world of boxing, stay connected by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you catch our quality content as soon as it drops. Until next time, peace out.